Let's bring in Jonathan Schanzer now, Senior Vice President for Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Jonathan, Israel obviously is a democracy, our most solid friend in the Middle East. How should the United States defend Israel in this circumstance?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think that the first thing that needs to happen is unequivocal support. We've seen actually some of this already coming from the Biden administration, from the Secretary of Defense, and from members of Congress. There will inevitably be a debate at the UN as Israel mounts its response to these horrific attacks that we saw today in Israel. That's when Israel will need America's defense, specifically at the Security Council. There's no question about that. There may come a time where the Israelis require some of the weaponry that is stored in Israel, American weapons, to be released in the event that Israel needs to broaden its military operations. We're, of course, watching the Gaza Strip, but we're also keeping an eye on the north in Lebanon, where Hezbollah has been threatening war for months, if not years. So that is a possibility and something that I think the Pentagon and Congress should be prepared for. And then, I think there is also the question of Iron Dome, this miraculous missile defense system that Israel has developed with American assistance. We may see the need from Israel to resupply their Iron Dome supplies, given the fact that we've seen just so many rocket attacks coming out of the Gaza Strip. There have been so many shoot downs. It could be the case that Israel requires more in the days or weeks ahead.
And in terms of military preparedness, I guess I would say. I mean, obviously, the United States is not a direct participant in this conflict. I'm not aware of what the carrier battle group situation is off Iran right now, but would you advocate sending in carriers or maybe a second carrier group, if necessary, just to project American power and show our displeasure with what's going on here?
Well, I think a direct message to Iran in whatever shape or form it might take is probably useful. Certainly, the Israelis don't want to see any activity on the part of American soldiers on the ground. Israel insists that it will defend itself by itself, and that Israel would only require the kind of diplomatic support that it is now accustomed to coming from the United States, and perhaps some of that resupply that I've already just mentioned. But depending on what the intelligence says about Iranian activities around the rest of the region, that is certainly a possibility that the U.S. may need to come in to deter Iran from further unrest and further destabilizing or malign activities around the region.
In your view, has the administration been too accommodating to the Iranians?
I think, look, the $6 billion released recently to Iran, I think, was a horrible sign. We certainly, I think we can celebrate the fact that there were 5 American citizens that were returned home, but we're now looking at what could be a green light, or the perceived green light, on the part of the Iranian regime and its proxies. Remember that Hamas is a proxy of Iran. And they may see that it's open season for taking additional hostages. And here what we see right now is several dozen Israelis being held by an Iranian proxy, perhaps more than 50, according to reports that I've seen.
Jonathan Schanzer, Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.